What's up, everybody? Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate you being here. Today is the first installment of 3 Minute Thursday, so we're going to show you how to convert your bike to tubeless. It's quick, it's easy, it changes the way your bike rides substantially. You got to do it. So stay tuned. Let's get to it. So before we go into how to convert your bike to tubeless, it's important to know why you should do this. There's 3 real core reasons to change your bike to tubeless. Number 1 is weight reduction. If you can reduce weight off your bike in any way, it definitely helps, but especially when it's unsprung mass, which is hanging from your suspension, or more specifically, rotational mass, which is your wheels. If you can reduce a little bit of weight off your wheels, it helps your bike get up to speed, helps your suspension work more efficiently, just makes your bike ride better all around. The second reason to convert to tubeless is to eliminate pinch flats. Pinch flats happen when you smash into a rock, and your tire and your rim make contact, and the tube in between those gets pinched and it pokes a couple holes in it, and you got a flat tire. With tubeless setup, it's very unlikely for you to pinch flat. You actually have to puncture through the sidewall of the tire, which is much more durable, so it doesn't happen very often. And the third reason to convert to tubeless is because you can run a little bit lower pressure and get better traction out on the trails. So what are the downsides to converting to tubeless? It's messy. You have to put sealant inside your tire, which can sometimes cause a mess. That sealant also dries out over time, so you do have to replace it every 6 months or so if you want it to keep sealing any punctures to your tire. And the third downside is that sometimes it can be a little bit hard to inflate your tires with a normal floor pump. Sometimes you might need a compressor, although I will say most new tires convert pretty quickly and easily and don't really require that. So what do you need to do to convert your bike to tubeless? The first thing you got to do is you need to make sure that your tires are tubeless ready. Usually on the sidewall of the rim it says tubeless ready, tubeless compatible, or something along those lines. If you don't see that, check with the manufacturer on which exact model you have and make sure it is tubeless ready. Tubeless ready tires have a little bit thicker sidewall and they're not as porous, so the sealant stays inside the tire a little bit better. So once you've determined that your tires are tubeless compatible, you're only really going to need a few things to do this project. You're going to need an Allen wrench to take off your wheel if it's not quick release. You're going to need some sealant. You're going to need a tubeless valve for your wheel, and you're going to need a tire lever to take that tire off. And then if your rims don't have tubeless tape on them already, you're going to need something like a Gorilla Tape or any kind of tubeless rim tape that will seal your rim so that air doesn't escape out the spoke holes. So once you've got all those things gathered up and you're ready to go, you're going to have your bike converted to tubeless. So let's go. First things first, take off your front wheel and deflate that tire. We're gonna have to take the tube out of that, so let's get all the air out of it. Next up, we're gonna use that tire lever if needed to get one side of that tire off so that you can pull the tube out. Once you've done that, now is the time that you need to check that rim strip to make sure it's tubeless. If it looks like tape that's been taped onto your rim, it's probably tubeless tape. If it's a black rubber strip around your rim, that's a rim strip. That's not gonna work. You'll have to take that off and put some tubeless tape on your rim. Next, you're gonna pull back that tire a little bit and drop in that tubeless valve and tighten down the lock nut super tight. This is the #1 area that tubeless tires leak, so you gotta make sure that valve is nice and tight, otherwise it's gonna leak right out of the hole around that valve. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the tire about 3/4 of the way back on the rim until there's just a little bit of a gap. And once you've done that, then you're gonna dump that sealant in. Now Stans recommends, I think, about 90 milliliters of sealant. I don't measure myself, I just dump some in, call it good, because you're gonna have to check on it every 6 months or so to make sure you've got enough in there still. Once you've put that sealant into the tire, we're gonna carefully rotate the wheel so that sealant goes to the other side of the tire where it's already on the rim. This just helps keep it from spilling, so spin it around, and then we're gonna pry that tire the rest of the way back onto the rim. If you need to use a tire lever at this point, go for it. Usually you can do it by hand though. Once you've done that, you're ready to air it up. Get your pump or compressor, air the tire up. I usually go to about 40 PSI on a mountain bike just to make sure everything's seated right. You wanna check that gap all the way around the rim to make sure your tire's exposed the same amount on all sides. And once you've done that, I like to shake the wheel pretty vigorously and rotate it around to make sure that sealant gets on all surfaces of the inside the tire and the rim. Just in case you've got a little spot that's leaking a little bit, it'll seal it right up. Then you want to carefully listen for leaks. Always check around the valve, but I like to just listen all the way around the tire just to see if I hear any leaks. Once you've done that, you're ready to go. You're set up tubeless. Throw your wheel back on your bike, deflate to your proper tire pressure, which is usually about 25 to 30 PSI. You're ready to rip. On that note, thanks for dropping into our first 3-Minute Thursday. I hope you found it informative, useful, and I hope you'll subscribe so that you see all the good content that we've got coming. Thanks for dropping in. See you next time.